Hi guys, here we go, day 3, multiplying polynomials, part 1. Now here is the key to multiplying polynomials. Notice we have, so put a star right here, x times x. So if I have a variable times a variable, that's going to be the same thing as x squared, because it's x to the 1 plus 1 power, and that gives us x squared. So if you understand this right here, okay, know this right here, this, everything else gets pretty easy. Alright, so we're going to do the we do's, and then you will tackle the you do's. Alright. Okay, here we go. So let's look at this first one here. So we have negative 1/2 n times 2n. So our first step here is we want to multiply the coefficients. So negative 1/2. So that's going to be negative 1/2 times 2, and I plug that into my Desmos, so that gives me negative 1. So I'm going to put negative 1 here, and then n times n. So n times n, notice what we have up here. A variable times a variable is equal to the variable to the 1 plus 1, which is equal to the variable squared. So n times n, that's just going to be n squared. Okay, so we'll put n squared here. So negative 1n squared, this is equivalent to this. Alright, so make sure you write that down. These two expressions are equivalent. Whoops, are equivalent. So they are equivalent. Okay. Now, instead of writing the negative 1n squared, remember we can write it as negative n squared. Okay, so this is equivalent to that. And this is equivalent to that as well. So now what I want you to do is to go ahead and pause the video and then tackle the you do. Once you're finished with the you do, go to Mr. Adams and he is going to check it for you. So pause the video now. Alright, next. So now we have this one. Our next expressions, we're multiplying negative 1/2 n times negative 5/7 m. So notice the variables are different here. So again, we're going to start off with negative 1/2 times negative 5/7. And so that's going to give us 5/14. Again, plug that into your Desmos. So here I'm just going to write 5/14. And then we got n times m. So now we take care of the variables and we have n times m. So n times m, we really can't multiply that, so we're just going to write it as nm. And there is our final answer. Okay? So again, make sure you understand that this expression and our answer, this expression, these are equivalent. Equivalent. That means they're the same thing. They're the same thing, just a little different form. So this is actually the simplified version. This expression is the simplified version for this. Alright? Or you could say that this is the product of these two terms, or these two factors. Alright, next. So now we want to tackle this one. This one looks a little trickier. Okay, but it's really not. Notice we had the minus sign in the middle there. Again, we have two variables. Oh, by the way, go ahead and pause the video and then see if you can do this one. Once you complete this one, get a check mark from Mr. Adams. Here we go. Alright. So now we're going to tackle this one. Alright, so notice we have the minus here. So this is actually a binomial. In between here is a binomial. So as what we're going to do, we're just going to go negative 1/2 n times 2n. Alright, so negative 1/2 times 2, that's just negative 1. N times n, that's n squared. Then we're going to go negative 1/2 n times negative 5/7 m. Notice that's an m. Okay, so negative 1/2 times and we're going to make that a negative 5 over 7. Okay, so again, that'll be 5 over 14. So we'll make that a plus 5 over 14. And then n times m, so again, n times m, that's going to be nm. So we'll just make that nm. And that's your answer. So again, this expression and this expression, okay, this expression here, all right, we got two factors, we're multiplying them, and it is equivalent to this one. All right, so after we distribute, we get this. These two are equivalent, so make sure you write that. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, and then you're going to do this one and get a check mark from Mr. Adams. And then once you do that, come back to the video. All right, here we go. All right, next one. All right, so again, this one looks tricky. Notice we just have to distribute the 2x first. We have multiple variables, so we got to be careful with that. All right, so our first step here is we're going to distribute 2x times the 3. So that's going to give us 6x. And then we're going to do, 6x squared. And then we just have the y, so we're just going to put y. Okay, so that'll be 6x squared y. Next we have 2x times the negative 7 y squared. So 2x times, so 2 times 7, that'll be minus 14. And then that's going to be just x because it doesn't have an x, and then we just put the y squared. Alright, so next we want to multiply 2x times the 5x. 2x times the 5x, so that'll just be plus 2 times 5 is 10, and then x times x, that'll be x squared. So this will be your final answer. Alright, so now do the you do, and you will get a check mark from Mr. Adams, and he'll give you directions on what to do next.